Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the April 2022 Mac Voices update. Yes, I know it's a couple days late. I'm sorry about that, but I was traveling. I was at NAB in Las Vegas, and also because of the Mac Voices publication schedule and releasing Mac Voices live programs, I didn't want to break those up and insert this in anywhere and break the rhythm. So it's a little bit late. Sorry about that, but you get the idea. I have a number of things I want to talk to you a little bit about this time, but especially thank you for some of the work you all have been doing. In the last couple updates, I asked folks to do a little more sharing on social media, a little more liking on social media, and just helping get the word out about Mac Voices. And judging by some of the download numbers, it is having its effect. So please keep it up. The whole idea is to spread the word about Mac Voices, get more information out there, get more folks involved, and that just ends up allowing me to bring you better programming. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Vimeo, everywhere that you share it or like it. Thank you very, very much. It definitely helps. As I said, I was at NAB, and I wanted to address just a couple things here because inevitably, and especially now, it's been almost 3 years since I did any NAB shows. Why do I go to NAB, and why are you seeing interviews with people that may not be exactly Apple-oriented or Mac-oriented or iPhone or iPad-oriented? And it's pretty simple. First of all, I love to go to NAB and meet with people and learn from them. It hopefully, at least I hope you see some improvements over time. It definitely gives me a little more skill, adds to my skill set, I should say, in producing videos, and gives me some new ideas always. I get creatively recharged whenever I go to NAB. I also love to talk to some of our old friends that exhibit at NAB. I also love to meet new people and new friends and maybe stretch the audience and my own understanding of things a little bit. So what you're going to see is a number of things that may not exactly apply to you, at least right now, unless you are into video production. And if you are, then hopefully it gives you some ideas too. But there are also things that are out there on the cutting edge, or that we may not be seeing, or in one case I can think of that you'll hear about, we may not even know we are seeing. And it brings up a number of issues down the road, and I'm not going to give any more than that away. So you'll have to watch some of those shows. As usual, my methodology is to walk the show floor, do very short, to the point interviews with folks, because there's always somebody else standing in line behind me waiting to talk to those very same people. So we don't do a normal in-depth thing. We try to hit it hard with the idea that if you want to find out more, you will go to their website and check it out. And if I want to find out more, I will get them on a show at a later date to go in depth a whole lot more. So that's what you can expect coming up in the next week or so on Mac Voices. And I shot a number of them. So because they are short form interviews, I'm probably going to release anywhere from 1 to 2 per day. So you want to check your RSS feeds or your subscription and make sure that everything that is in the subscription gets downloaded, because some podcast catchers, or podcast software, I guess I should say, will tend to skip things if maybe there's 2 episodes downloaded or released in one day. It may only download 1. So be sure to be paying a little extra attention. And of course, that's a good reason for you to subscribe to the Mac Voices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, because that's where we have everything listed each week so that you are guaranteed not to miss anything. So NAB was great. A number of things happened. Ironically, Elon Musk bought Twitter while I was there, and that sparked a whole lot of discussion over lunch tables and in just about every booth afterwards, after it happened. But I wanted to share with you one thing that Elon has done really well. And a lot of people picked on it and said it wouldn't work. I admit I was skeptical. But that is the loop. The tunnel system under the Las Vegas Convention Center. Now with the new west end of the Las Vegas Convention Center, it is huge. It would be about a 20-minute walk side to side, at least from the one end of the west down to north and central. And I took the loop on a number of occasions. There are 3 stations. There's one at the west part. There's one at north and central, and then there's one at south. The process is pretty simple. You go into the station, you tell them which station you want to go to. They put you in a car and to a Tesla, and you take off. Now, these are not self-driving Teslas yet. They were all manned, but it's a pretty interesting experience. And as you can see from the video, this video was shot going from South Station to the North and Central Station. And the South Station is above ground completely. The North and Central Station is below ground completely. So once you get off there, or if you're going to get on there, you go down escalators to get to it. Very, very interesting experience, but I have to tell you, I really was very skeptical because I know what NAB crowds can be like, certainly what CES crowds can be like. I probably waited my longest for one of the rides on the loop for about 20 seconds for somebody to open a car door. Other than that, they were always there. They were always running. Sometimes I would be alone. Sometimes I would be sharing a ride with 2 or 3 other people. But it was a pretty impressive experience. I hope this video gives you some idea of just how impressive it is and what it may hold for the future. They also told me that the Boring Company had just broken ground from the convention center across to the new Resorts World Casino. And so that's the next leg of the tunnel that'll go in. And there are plans for it to go up and down Las Vegas Boulevard and out to the airport. We shall see how that goes, but I have to tell you, it's a success as far as I'm concerned. It's a very interesting project, and a lot of folks thought it would never happen. And I was riding on it, ironically, as Elon was purchasing Twitter. So I'm an Elon Musk fan, if for no other reason than he just saved me several miles worth of walking at NAB. So go and check it out if you get to the convention center. It's free if you have a convention center badge or convention badge, and otherwise it's a couple bucks. They really haven't decided, I think, on exactly what the numbers are. So coming back to MacVoices, I also wanted to mention that we're running a little bit behind on catching up and releasing MacVoices live shows. As you know, I take those shows that are recorded live on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and put them into the feeds in 2 or 3 episode chunks, depending on how long the actual show went. I've been trying to get the episodes of MacVoices down a little bit to make them a little easier for you to consume and releasing them in multiple parts. That's great for listening and makes it a little easier to keep up. The bad news is that we've been producing so much content that it can end up making some of that content almost out of date, or at least seem a little dated. So in the next couple weeks, you may see things get a little bit longer after the NAB shows get released so that I can play catch up and get back to where things should be. And I also definitely want to say thanks to the whole MacVoices Live crew, and especially David Ginsberg for stepping in as co-host. By the time you see this, there'll probably be at least one more show where he is acting as my co-host and substitute host. And I really, really do appreciate what David did because it kept the show going. And of course, I appreciate all the folks on the panel who showed up and took on whatever topics were discussed that time around. So thank you guys. Really, really appreciate it. So my last NAB story before we get to the support report. As this update ends, I want you to watch, because I have a little clip of an interview that I did. That interview, the actual interview, will be published later. But we started the interview, and just as we started, there was an alarm sounded, and it was some kind of warning system from the Las Vegas Convention Center. I think somebody hit the wrong button because they shut it down, and we laughed about it and went on. And then what you don't see is about 15 minutes later, they came on and said, there was really no emergency or anything. Everything was fine. But it was a riot. But the interesting thing about it, and especially if you watch it once or twice, you'll see the people in the background even stopped. It's not easy to quiet the Las Vegas Convention Center completely. And when that alarm went off, that's exactly what happened, because I guess it's a symptom of the world today. Nobody knew exactly what was going on or what was happening, and we were all kind of dreading what they might be about to announce. And of course, nothing ever happened. It was a mistake. But it just goes to show you, we all ended up laughing a little nervously about it, and we're happy that there was nothing. But it seems like every show I go to, there's always some kind of outtake that I like to share. A couple of years ago, I got almost beheaded by a drone. This time, it was an interruption by an emergency siren. So you just never know. So that's coming up at the very end. But before I leave, I want to make sure that I get into the support report this month, because folks, I really, really appreciate all these people who step up and contribute every month and keep MacVoices going, especially when I have a costly month like going to NAB to bring you that content. So at Platinum this month, we have RVS. At Gold, we have Web B, David G, and Frank P. At Silver, we have Baz, Craig A, Tim G, Michael D, Bruce E, Chuck P, Hal R, and Daniel S. At Bronze, we have Max C, Tom C, Brian F, Cletus H, George H, Clinton M, John M, and Prop P. And one more time, a huge thank you to all you folks who help support MacVoices through Patreon. And sort of one last note on that before I forget it. If you are a Patreon subscriber to MacVoices, you can have access to the MacVoices Slack. If you have not received your invitation for some reason, then an email went bad or whatever, or if you are and want to check in, please drop me an email, chuck@macvoices.com, and I'll make sure you get an invitation to the Slack at the email address of your choice. We've been having a great time. There was a lot of discussion on the Slack this last month, and I'm sure there are going to be additional great conversations there. We'd love to have you there. That's available to any member of the MacVoices Patreon. So please check it out at patreon.com/MacVoices. That's it for this month. May's update will be hopefully a little more timely and a little more on schedule. But until then, I've got a lot of stuff coming up I hope you'll enjoy. Until the next time, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Thanks for watching.
In 3, 2, 1. MacVoices is in Las Vegas for NAB. I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, I fought my way to the Frame.io booth to talk to Chris Cohen, the CTO of...
Perfect timing.
May I have your attention, please? This is a customer safety advisement. The signal you hear is part of the Las Vegas...
Alrighty.
Well, that got everybody's attention.
A rare moment of silence.
Yeah, really. Okay, let's try it. In 3, that's an outtake for sure. I love it. 3.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.